Use hashtag Michigan to get your questions on the show, guys. See the questions pouring in. So if we don't get the hashtag Michigan, we'll answer some of those. But this is about any questions you want to be answered. But if you want to use the hashtag Michigan, we will see them right at the top, and you can get that show. So that's kind of like your front of the line pass following Michigan's 42-25 win over Illinois. So one-word reaction, guys, and then we'll get into some of these questions to Michigan's win, 42-25. I'm just going WTF. That's one word. I think 3 letters in a row constitutes a word if there's no spaces. I'm getting Stats and Research Department's giving me a thumbs up on that. WTF is a word. So that's my one-word reaction. I'd like to see yours. Maybe we'll show some of those later in the show. But Donald Malak, is that M-A-L-A-K? I got to get my eyes checked. Hey, Yoder, there's one thing I like to say. Well, more than one thing. What the heck was I watching? I cannot believe these guys are playing with their head up their butt. Uncharacteristic to Michigan football. I mean, is it uncharacteristic? I'm starting to think it's characteristic, right? Like, what's uncharacteristic about Michigan teams under Jim Harbaugh going on the road and not playing well against, unless it's against Rutgers? What's uncharacteristic about the passing game looking like, garbage for most of the game? I don't think it's uncharacteristic. I actually think looking undisciplined and not being ready to play has become the characteristics, unfortunately, of Jim Harbaugh's Michigan football program. So thank you for the question, Donald. Let's take the question from Jake Summers. We are live following Michigan 42-25 win over Illinois. Use that hashtag Illinois. I'm not going to be one of those guys who said noise. 25 win over Illinois. Use hashtag Michigan to get questions on the show. He says, I don't know what to make of the fumbles. Coaching can't fix fumbles. Coaching doesn't cause fumbles. Last year we had 3 fumbles the entire year. It's a mental thing. Guys, I've been rubbing my eyes trying to see this thing, so I'm going to look at my small screen here for some of these questions because I am just too blind to read some of them in the big screen right in front of me. Jake, I don't know, but it's not just the running backs. You've got Lavert Hill dropping fumbles early in the year on punt returns. You got Shea Patterson fumbling like it's his job the first few games of the year with 4 lost fumbles. So it's everybody. So you've got to practice it somehow. I know it might say it's tough to coach, and some people say, oh, fumbling, that's easy to fix. But if it was easy to fix, they would have fixed it. The week to fix it, unfortunately, is not now. You've got Penn State and Notre Dame back-to-back. We could be looking at 2 blowout losses coming up. Michigan could be 5-3 2 weeks from now after hosting Notre Dame in the Big House on October 26th. And the time to practice fumbles, the time to fix that, the time to say, put the ball in your hand and everybody just try and tackle this guy until he fumbles. Like, I don't know what to do, but what we're doing is not working. I would actually give every running back, every wide receiver, every quarterback a football with their name on it and say, anybody brings that football back to me in the next week, that guy's sitting out of the game. I would do something crazy like that. They think I hold the ball so tight around campus when he's sleeping no matter what. Like the movie The Program, for those of you old enough to remember that great 1993-94 college football film. Next question from Jay Wilson. What adjustments did Illinois make after the first half? We can take a look at those first half, second half stats, Alicia, if you want to take a look. Let's look at the first half stats, right? So 117 yards and 88 passing yards. So if we did do some deductive math, we subtract 88 from the total, it won't be that tough to find out that Illinois got a decent passing game, right? So 88 to 192, so it's not even that crazy. They got 104 yards in the second half. A receiver over 100 yards, so they really had one wide receiver that was doing anything. But rushing attack, I don't know what really they did. It's Michigan gets a couple turnovers, and that potentially is the difference. But look at this, the end of the game stats. The only real outlier is the score. They dropped, I kind of feel like that 25 points are really second half points, even though they scored 7 in the first half, because it was the last minute of the half. And so it's like Michigan goes up 28-0, and they sleepwalk. The one interesting stat that Alicia, the head of the Stats and Research Department, our statistician behind the scenes, says is that Illinois 0 for 6. I don't know where I clicked that screen. 0 for 6 on third down conversions in the first half. Where do we end up for the game? Any idea for that? We'll take a look here shortly to give you some input on that. So third down conversions for Illinois, they were 3 of 13. So second half, they went 3 of 7. So they converted some third downs, right? Maybe that's the only difference in the game, is them converting some third downs in the second half. So we'll keep it rolling here. Use hashtag Michigan. Thanks for the question, Jay. We got my man, Michael Warnock. He says Michigan might get a chance, or Milton might get his chance to start along with Dylan. I mean, Shea Patterson, I still am not convinced that it is Shea's problem. I know some of you guys are going to say, Yoder, you're a Shea homer. Stop being a Shea homer. But when they give him time to pass, or when they give him routes and an urgency to pass, end of the game against Wisconsin, early against Rutgers, end of the game against Illinois here, and at different times throughout the game today in the first half, he looked good. But then you get these plays, 7 of 12 in the first half, 150 yards. But you get these plays, guys, that are just so, weird. Like that first half screen to Charbonnet where Shea just kind of threw it in, almost into a defensive lineman's hands. The guy didn't catch it. And then that rollout against his body to Ben Mason in their first half. I just don't think they call plays that make sense for Shea Patterson. Got off to a decent start in this game. But certainly going 10 of 20 for 189 yards is not what you expect out of a college football offense. Let's take a look at the wide receiver leaders. Who are the standouts in this team? Nico Collins didn't play, but Ronnie Bell, the streak continues. 33 games. Michigan has not had a 100-yard receiver, even though Ronnie Bell had 98 by halftime. So that sucks. He could have got 100 yards. Donovan Peoples-Jones didn't exist for most of the game, then catches a touchdown pass late when Michigan needs it. Treek Black, 2 catches for 21 yards for Treek Black. Luke Schoonmaker, where's Giles Jackson? Where's Mike Samersall? Nick Eubanks and Sean McCune comes back to the game. Eubanks gets hurt, but if McCune's in the game, why isn't he playing? Right? Very little from Sean McCune on the day. A lot of questions coming in here, so if you see any good ones, Alicia, feel free to toss that up. You got one from Hunter on there you could probably take about Shea Patterson. So where was Nico Collins? Trey Stoneking, thanks so much for following, Trey. Appreciate the retweets on Twitter. I didn't see him on the field at all. So Nico Collins, Lavert Hill, Kwity Paye, and who's the other one? Lavert, Kwity, who did we say, Alicia? Kwity that play, Lavert Hill that play. Brandon Peters, of course, from Illinois. So he had 3 starters who didn't play, a couple on defense, and then actually 4, Josh Rosh as well, but he hasn't played in a few weeks. But 3 guys maybe we didn't expect. So 3 starters out on defense, and then Nico Collins. Look, the word is that Nico is working through something, but I'll say this right now. Do not be surprised if this was not a attitude or behavioral related DNP for Nico Collins. Didn't make the trip. I didn't hear anything about an injury from him all week, and all of a sudden he's not there on game day on Saturday. So I don't want to make any assumptions. I don't have any insight on this, but there's been enough rumblings about Nico, not necessarily about him specifically, just about the wide receiver cores, that I wouldn't be surprised if Nico Collins was held out of the game for reasons other than injury, although he's working from something. All right, Hunter Poquette, as I'm going to button my button up, I feel like I need to get a little more astute and focused on this show because the Michigan football team is clearly not focused. He says, is it time to move on from Shea Patterson? I mean, I don't know. I don't know why you didn't give somebody snaps in the third quarter. I don't know why you didn't give Joe Milton or Dylan McCaffrey, who was back in injury, some snaps. Make sure we do a bet DSI too and all the segments as well, Alicia. But I don't understand why we don't see these guys. Why not give Joe Milton? Why not give Dylan McCaffrey some snaps when it counts, when you're up 28-0. Maybe that's not when it counts, but it's like Shea Patterson and the offense had no urgency. There was no reason for them to play at the top level of their game. And a quarterback coming in, maybe there's a little bit of pep in his step. When you're up 28-0, he's getting a shot. So I'm not sure why they didn't give any of those guys a shot when you're up 4 touchdowns in the second quarter or up 3 to start the third half. But it's a good question. I'm going to say no just because what are you going to bench your 2-year starter against a top 10 team on the road and then a top maybe 6 team, 5 team, potentially Notre Dame with Georgia losing today at home in 2 weeks? It probably is not the best move because you're putting them in a bad position to get their careers off to a start. Guys, if you're enjoying the show, if you enjoy our show, we have been 7 days a week for the last month. So every day you're getting a new show from the Michigan Football Report. Please subscribe. We hit 5,000 subscribers a few days ago. It means the show will remain on to the public, so you don't want to miss the show. Make sure to subscribe, youtube.com/MichiganTV. And while you're here, Make sure to use BetDSI for all your sports book needs this football season and beyond. NBA getting started. You can put money on NBA games, Major League Baseball playoffs, college football games today. I'm telling you, take Iowa getting 4.5 points at home, or all NFL games tomorrow, and get started with the best promo code in the game. Go Blue, promo code Go Blue. Simple math. You put down $50, you get an extra 60. You put in 100, you get an extra 120. 120% deposit bonus. You put out 500, an extra 600. I mean, that's some. I would go for the big bonus if I were you, but if you're gonna bet on sports, do it with our partner BetDSI. Next question coming in from Steve Myers. Steve Myers. Yoder, how many losses the rest of the way? Over, under 3. Unfortunately, I'm going to say push on that one because I think it'll be 3. I think it's an 8-4 season, which is really disappointing, honestly. It's really disappointing. But I don't see a scenario where they can beat Penn State. I don't see a scenario where they can beat Notre Dame. So I think you'll lose the next 2. You'll drop to 5-3. And then you'll win 3 straight games against Maryland and Michigan State and Indiana. I think they'll beat Michigan State at home because what's going to beat Michigan is a team who, any team that has a more efficient offense than them should beat them, right? And that's Notre Dame, Penn State, and Ohio State. And they're only going to beat teams that have less talent offense because the Michigan defense is going to be able to hold those teams like Michigan State to 7, 10, 14 points. And Michigan will be able to muster 17 to 24 themselves. So I see that game in Ann Arbor on November 16th, I think it is. I see Michigan winning that one, I would say 21-10 or something like that, but losing those other 3 games against 3 top 10 teams, Penn State, Notre Dame, and Ohio State. Next question coming up from Brody. Use that hashtag Michigan, folks. Michigan wins 42-25 against Illinois. He says, why are we paying a coach $7.5 million a year for these type of results? Brody, it's a really good question. I have given up on the popular saying. I no longer will even believe it. I don't buy into it. The popular saying is like, if Jim Harbaugh can't succeed at the highest levels in Michigan, who can? I don't believe that to be true anymore. And the reason why I don't believe it to be true is that 6 coaches in the Big Ten alone have won 10 games since Jim Harbaugh's been there in 4 seasons. I think it's 4 coaches that have won 11 games. Jim Harbaugh's not one of them. And 3 have won 12, maybe 4 have won 12. I mean, Urban Meyer certainly has done it. Ryan Day is going to do it this year, so we'll have 1 more. Northwestern's coach has won 10, I think, multiple times. Wisconsin's coach, did he win 12 one year, 11 the other year? Penn State's coach won 12 games. Michigan State's coach won 12 games since Jim Harbaugh's been there. I'm not talking about 10 years ago. I'm talking about in this last 4 years. Penn State's won a Big Ten title since Jim Harbaugh's there. So don't tell me Jim Harbaugh is the only guy who can get it done at the University of Michigan. You look at Ohio State with a 39, 40-year-old coach, whatever he is, first year getting it done. You see all over the country guys walking into programs. Lincoln Riley at Texas. They lost today, but Kirby Smart at Georgia walks in, and he's in the national title game his 2nd season. So don't tell me Jim Harbaugh is the only guy who can win football games at the University of Michigan. Hey there, Michigan football fans. Thanks so much for watching the Michigan Football Report. If you haven't done so yet, go ahead and subscribe to Chat Sports, college football, NFL, NBA. New videos every single day. The #1 sports network on YouTube. Ready for another Michigan football video? I got you hooked up right here.